And SAP UI5 framework supports different types of layouts. SAP UI5 framework supports different types of layouts like horizontal layouts and vertical layouts, then grid layouts, splitter layouts, and then there is text box layouts, and similarly H box, horizontal box, B box, vertical box. There are different types of layouts. So to use any layout, you need to follow two syntaxes. One is directly using a layout. The second syntax is layout inside another layout. So syntax for using a direct layout. You can provide layout as a namespace, and you can provide layout class name, because in our case, for making use of layout, we have used one library. SAP UI layout is a library. That library contains most of the layout related classes, and that library is registered as layout as a prefix or a namespace. So we have registered layout as a namespace for utilizing this library, SAP UI layout library. And this library contains most of these classes, especially these things: horizontal, vertical, grid, splitter layout. All these are part of SAP UI layout library. So this library is already registered, so we can utilize different types of layout related classes by using layout as a prefix, because of layout namespace is registered here. And not only that, SAP.M also contains some simple layouts like flexbox layout, Hbox layout, Vbox layout. You can also try those layouts, but they're part of this one, SAP.M library. Like flexbox layout, Hbox, horizontal box, Vbox, vertical box. So these are also classes, but these are the classes from SAP.M library. It's already registered. SAP.M is registered. SAP.UI layout is also registered. So we can straight away use it with layout as a namespace. Then layout class tag. Use begin tag and end tag here because it acts like a container. Use layout begin tag, layout end tag. And within this block, you can place your screen elements according to your requirement. You can place your collection of screen elements or one or many screen elements. Layout class begin tag, layout class end tag. it acts like a container, so you should have begin tag, end tag. And within that block, you can place your collection of screen elements. This is one of the syntax for using a layout directly. There is another syntax for using layout inside another layout. We can use layout inside another layout. That is possible. So here we can use layout namespace, layout class begin tag, and you can use layout class end tag. And within this block, you can use one or many layouts. So within this layout class tag, you can use one or many layouts. For example, layout class tag. And you can have end tag for that. And if you want, you can use one more layout, begin tag, end tag. So here there are two layouts, layout 1, layout 2. So collection of layouts, you can also put it inside another layout. This is like layout inside another layout. Layout 1, layout 2, and each layout can have its own screen elements, and both the layouts can be part of another layout. So inside each layout, you can place your collection of screen elements here. Place your collection of screen elements. Similarly, here also you can place your collection of screen elements. So you can have layout 1 with its own screen elements, layout 2 with its own screen elements, and collection of layouts, you can put it inside another main layout. Layout 1 can have its own screen elements, layout 2 can have its own screen elements, and collection of layouts, you can put it inside another main layout. So different combinations are possible. So there are two syntaxes you need to remember. This is like using direct layout, and this is like layout inside another layout. So layout inside another layout, you can have internal layouts like this. Layout 1 with its own screen elements, layout 2 with its own screen elements, and both the layouts are part of another layout here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try different layouts now. First, I'll try to add one new icon tab filter. Inside that, we'll try to experiment all different types of layouts. I'll create one new icon tab filter with content area. Inside that new icon tab filter, we'll try to experiment and understand the output of different types of layouts. So let me add that. So inside icon tab bar, we are adding one more icon tab filter. With a separate content area. We provide some text. This is just to understand the output of different layouts. Let me use icon color. Use some icon name, for example, icon name. Okay, so there is new icon tab filter. Inside this, it's an empty content area now. It's a new icon tab filter with empty content area. So let me copy these lines. Add new icon tab filter, something like this. Now inside this, what you can do is you can place your layouts related code and test the output accordingly. You can place your layouts related code and you can test your output accordingly from this particular icon tab filter. Okay, so first let me try with horizontal layouts. Say suppose I want to create collection of labels and screen elements. I want to create collection of individual labels and screen elements. Those individual labels and screen elements, I want to place it side by side using horizontal layout. You can place labels and screen elements side by side using horizontal layout. Create collection of individual labels and screen elements and place labels and screen elements side by side by using horizontal layout. So you can implement below code. So here, first let me create some labels and screen elements. For example, label text. So let me create some collection of labels. You can create whichever label and whichever screen element you want. Let me try with these things. So I've taken some collection of labels here. For each label, I want to associate with some screen elements. We try input field here. We take some input fields. And here I want to use, for example, checkbox. Here I want to use, for example, switch. And here I want to make use of rating indicator. So what we have done is we have created collection of labels and screen elements here. For testing purpose, we have taken these labels, some are input fields, then checkbox, switch, rating, etc. we have created. But I want to display all these things in a horizontal layout. All this collection of screen elements, I want to display inside horizontal layout. Then what you can do is, you can place all these things in a begin tag, end tag block for a layout. So you can use layout. Here you can use horizontal layout. Horizontal layout is a class from SAP UI layout library. Horizontal layout is a class from SAP UI layout library. So use that begin tag. Use begin tag here. And you can use horizontal layout end tag here. So within this block, we have placed our labels and screen elements. Horizontal layout begin tag, horizontal layout end tag. Within that block, there are collection of labels and screen elements. So if you closely observe these things, all the labels and screen elements, they are placed inside horizontal layout begin tag, horizontal layout end tag. So let me test it now. Now you can see, if you closely observe, all these labels and screen elements, they are displayed side by side. If you want, you can use the width so that you can display all the screen elements. Here, at this point of time, you observe this output. All these labels and screen elements, they are displayed in a horizontal format. So this is how output looks like. Label input field, label input field. And if you increase the width, you can also get other screen elements. You can, I did not provide any width, but if you want, you can provide width on the layout container level. Now, the same thing, I want to do it with vertical layout, one below the other. Okay, first let me copy this version. So here what we have done, we have created labels and screen elements, and all those labels and screen elements, they are kept inside horizontal layout begin tag, horizontal layout end tag. So that's a container. In that container block, we're adding these things. Okay, so horizontal layout is a class from SAP UI layout library, and that library is registered with layout as a namespace. So we are using that namespace. Now say suppose I want to go with vertical layout. I want to create labels and screen elements individually. And then I want to place those labels and screen elements inside vertical layout. want to create labels and screen elements individually, then place labels and screen elements inside vertical layout. So you can implement below code. So here you can use the same code, but instead of using horizontal layout, let me change it to vertical layout. So you can see vertical layout is a class from SAP UI layout library. So you can use that vertical layout container, begin tag, and here also you can use vertical layout end tag. Let me save and test it. So now you can see all the labels and screen elements, they're displayed one below the other because of vertical layout. Label input field, you can see that. Label checkbox, label switch, label rating indicator. So everything is displayed one below the other. So this is the output of vertical layout container. Okay, this is how it looks like. This is vertical layout output. So in this case, first label, then screen element, label, screen element. There is label and screen element. Everything is displayed one below the other. This is the output of vertical layout. Okay, let me copy this version. You can use any label, any screen element, n number of labels, n number of screen elements inside any layout. Just for testing purpose, we have taken these things. But you can add n number of labels, n number of screen elements, and any type of screen element. Now let me go with a grid layout. I want to create labels and screen elements individually. Please remember, we are not using simple form here. Without simple form also, we can display the screen elements in a different format, like vertical format, horizontal format, grid format. That is possible. Simple form is very commonly used. That's also a container. But simple form is not mandatory. Without simple form also, we are able to display the screen elements. Okay, so create labels and screen elements individually, and then place labels and screen elements inside grid format or grid layout. So you can implement below code. So the same screen elements, same labels, but here, instead of using vertical layout, I want to use grid layout. For grid layout, the class name is grid. There is no class with grid layout. The class name is grid, just grid. Grid is a class from SAP UI layout library. So you can use that begin tag, grid class, and you can use grid class end tag here. So please remember, don't use grid layout as a class name. There is no such class. The class name is just grid. It's also from SAP UI layout library. So let us run this with this output. So here you can see now, this is the output of grid layout. Label, screen element, label, screen element. You can see that. You have different types of output by using different layout containers. In this case, it is displaying all these screen elements in a grid format here. This is how it looks like. So this is like a grid format. This grid layout output. Now say suppose within this, for some of the screen elements, I want to use vertical layout. Within this grid layout, for some of the screen elements, I want to use grid layout. Sorry, vertical layout. Okay, first let me copy this version. So labels and screen elements, they are placed inside grid begin tag, grid end tag. Now say suppose for some of these screen elements, for example, the last two screen elements, I want to place inside vertical layout. Last two labels and two screen elements, I want to place inside vertical layout, and that vertical layout I want to place inside grid layout. So that is possible here. For example, okay, let me take these two screen elements. Label switch, label rating indicator. These things I want to place inside a vertical layout. Use begin tag, end tag here. If you closely observe, there are collection of labels and screen elements, and there is a vertical layout. Vertical layout has its own labels and screen elements. So you can have different combinations. You can have labels and screen elements individually, and then you can have a container like, for example, vertical layout with its own labels and screen elements, and everything you can place it inside a grid or some other layout. So now you can see, if you closely observe, this is a grid layout. Within the grid layout, some of the screen elements are displayed in vertical layout. So here, in this case, this is a grid layout. But within that grid layout container, these screen elements are displayed in a vertical layout. So we can have labels, screen elements within one container, and that container can be part of another container. So this is one of the container, and within that main container, this container is used. So one container can have another container internally. Some screen elements in one container, some other screen elements in another container, and all those containers in one main container. So that type of combination, you can use it. Okay, let me go with normal approach. Okay, now say suppose I want to use two simple forms, and two simple forms I want to display side by side. Let me write the requirement here. For example, I want to create simple form 1 with collection of labels and screen elements. I want to create simple form 1 with collection of labels and screen elements. Then I want to create simple form 2 with again collection of labels and screen elements. So two simple forms, each simple form has its own labels and screen elements. And finally, I want to place simple form 1 and 2 inside horizontal layout so that I can display two simple forms side by side. Finally, place simple form 1 and simple form 2 inside horizontal layout. Because I am expecting two simple forms side by side on a screen. That's the reason why I want to place form 1, form 2 inside horizontal layout. Okay, let us try this code. Okay, let me try this code. So here, first, let me take these labels and screen elements. These labels and screen elements, I want to place it as part of one simple form. Then we'll replicate to another simple form. Okay, so otherwise we'll take it like this. First, let me take horizontal layout. Begin tag, end tag. Within that horizontal layout, I want to use form. For example, simple form. Use begin tag, end tag. This is first simple form. Provide some title. For example, simple form 1. And you can use width here. Simple form is also a container. So you can use width, for example, 600 pixel. So inside horizontal layout, we have created first simple form. Similarly, I'm taking second simple form here. Title, let me provide simple form 2. So horizontal layout contains two simple forms, simple form 1, simple form 2. Now each simple form can have its own labels and screen elements. So here you can place collection of labels and screen elements in each simple form. In second simple form also you can place collection of labels and screen elements. I'm expecting this type of output. Take this shot otherwise. What we're trying to do is we're taking form 1 with its own labels and screen elements, form 2 with its own labels and screen elements. And both the forms we are placing inside horizontal layout. So all these different combinations are possible. So there is form 1 and there is form 2. Each form has its own labels and screen elements. And both the forms we are placing inside horizontal layout. or you can place it inside vertical layout. So here, form 1, that means simple form 1 with labels and screen elements. Similarly, there is simple form 2 with labels and screen elements. And both the forms we are placing inside horizontal layout in this case. So this simple form is also like a layout. It's also like layout container. So one layout inside another layout is possible. Simple form is like one of the layout. That layout is placed inside horizontal layout. So one layout inside another layout, or collection of layouts inside main layout. All these different combinations are possible. Okay, let me try this. Form 1, form 2 inside horizontal layout. So let me take labels and screen elements here. The same things. Let me take these things. I want to place it inside first simple form. First simple form contains labels and screen elements here. Now, the same labels, same screen elements. If you want, you can use different labels, different screen elements inside second simple form. Inside second simple form, you want, you can use same labels, same screen elements, or you can use different labels, different screen elements. It's up to you, but for testing purpose, I'm using the same code. Now, on horizontal layout, we can also use width property if you want. On each layout, if you want, you can use a width. But in this case, horizontal layout is a main layout. In this example, horizontal layout is a main layout which internally contains form 1 with its own labels and screen elements. And there is a form 2 with its own labels and screen elements. Okay, let me save and run this. Now you can see there are two simple forms, form 1 with its own labels and screen elements, form 2 with its own labels and screen elements. And both the forms, they're displayed side by side because of horizontal layout. So if you want to change, you can change this alignment of these labels. Let us do that. So here, let me use text direction. And let me use design also here for each label. So if I go to layout, icon tab filter, now you can see this is much more meaningful. Simple form 1 with its labels and screen elements. Simple form 2 has its own labels and screen elements. So both the simple forms, they are displayed side by side because of horizontal layout. what we have done here is so there is form 1 here, and there is form 2. Okay, form 1, form 2, and both the forms, they are placed inside horizontal layout. So simple form 1 and simple form 2. So form 1, form 2, both are placed inside horizontal layout. This type of different combinations are possible. Put it here. So what we're trying to do, form 1 with its own labels and skin elements, form 2 with its own labels and skin elements, and both the forms, they are placed inside horizontal layout. That's the reason why we are able to get form 1, form 2 side by side. Very simple. Now, say suppose I want to display both the forms one below the other, then you can place form 1, form 2 inside vertical layout. So that's also possible. First, let me copy this version. Now the same thing, but I want to place it inside vertical layout. Let me just write it for continuity purpose. I want to create, for example, simple form 1 with collection of labels and skin elements. Similarly, I want to create simple form 2 with collection of labels and skin elements. And finally, I want to place simple form 1 and simple form 2 inside vertical layout. Finally, I want to place simple form 1 and simple form 2 inside vertical layout. So for that, you can implement below code. And try the same code, but instead of using horizontal layout as a main layout, I want to make it vertical layout as a main layout. So use vertical layout begin tag and use vertical layout end tag. Within that vertical layout, there are two simple forms. Let me test it here. Now you can see there are two forms, they are displayed one below the other because of both the forms are placed inside vertical layout. You can notice that. Let me take this as form 1, form 2 inside vertical layout. So this is like simple form 1, simple form 2. So both are displayed inside vertical layout. That is a main layout in this case. Both are displayed as part of vertical layout. That's the reason why they are displayed one below the other. Different combinations are possible. You can use this. So vertical layout output with form 1 and form 2. Now say suppose, okay, let me copy this version. Now I want to use splitter layout. You can have a splitter container. That is also possible. You can have a splitter line in between. Okay, let me use splitter layout. Splitter layout contains orientation property. Splitter layout contains orientation property. And orientation supports two formats: horizontal orientation, vertical orientation. So orientation property supports two options. One is like horizontal orientation, another is vertical orientation. If you want, you can use that. Suppose, let me try the same. Create simple form 1 with collection of labels and screen elements. Similarly, let us create simple form 2 with collection of labels and screen elements. And finally, I want to place simple form 1 and simple form 2. Inside, for example, splitter layout. I want to place form 1, form 2 inside splitter layout. You can implement below code. So here, instead of using vertical layout or horizontal layout, I want to use splitter. Splitter is a class from same library, SAP UI layout library. Splitter is a class from SAP UI layout library. So you can use that splitter, use begin tag and use end tag here. Use splitter begin tag, splitter end tag, and on splitter begin tag, you can use one property, that is orientation here. Orientation is the property of splitter class and it supports two options, horizontal as well as vertical. So first, let me try with horizontal orientation. Splitter class with orientation property. Now I'm using horizontal orientation. Now you can see you're getting side by side. Two simple forms are side by side because splitter orientation is horizontal. That's the reason why form 1, form 2, they're displayed side by side. And you'll get a splitter line in between. So you can drag, you can change its position. So that means you can readjust these screen elements here. in this case because of splitter, and you'll get a splitter line here. And in this case, form 1, form 2, they're displayed side by side because of splitter orientation is horizontal. And for splitter, you can see always you'll get a splitter line here, splitter line or splitter separator here for readjustment. So in this case, there is form 1 and form 2. And they're separated by a splitter line. So the splitter contains simple form 1 and simple form 2. For form 1, form 2, they are placed inside a splitter. So this splitter is a main container. Splitter is a main container. That container contains two simple forms. Each form has its own labels and skin elements. Okay, let me save this. Splitter with form 1 and form 2 with orientation as horizontal. Okay, let me save this. Now, if you want, you can use the same code with a different orientation. You can try that. So, if required, in the above code, use splitter orientation. Use splitter orientation as vertical. You can check the output. Required in the above code, use splitter orientation as vertical and check the output. Let us see what happens. So orientation instead of horizontal, let me try vertical. Horizontal is one of the constant. Vertical is another constant. These are fixed values. So let me try with vertical. So now you can see two simple forms. They are displayed one below the other. They're displayed one below the other, and you can see there is a splitter line here. You can readjust this skin elements. So splitter line is enabled between two skin elements or two main containers here. And both the containers, they're displayed in outer container, that is splitter container. So all these things are possible. Okay, let me take the screenshot. In this case, form 1, form 2, they're displayed inside splitter with orientation vertical. This is like simple form 1, simple form 2. They're displayed in one container, that is splitter container. That splitter container contains orientation vertical. Splitter orientation is vertical. in this case. Okay, so this is like with form 1, form 2, but orientation is vertical. Okay, now let me try with another type of layout, that is Flexbox. It's newly introduced. So there is Flexbox layout. So let us try like this. I want to create collection of labels and screen elements. And I want to place collection of labels and screen elements inside a Flexbox container. I want to place collection of labels and screen elements inside Flexbox container. Flexbox container, that's also like a container with a layout option. So you can implement below code. Okay, let us not worry about simple form splitter and all those things. Let us remove these forms. Now there are only labels and screen elements here. Now we are back to normal. We are just having label input field. Label input field, you can see label switch, label checkbox, label rating indicator. I've removed all the layouts and forms. No form, no layout. They are created as individual labels and screen elements at this point of time. But I want to place all these things inside a Flexbox container. I want to place inside a Flexbox container with align items as well as direction. So let me try here. I can use Flexbox container. So that's a container from SAP.m library. It's newly introduced. It's not part of SAP UI layout library. It is provided as a class from SAP.m library. Flexbox. So let us use that begin tag here and use end tag somewhere here. So now there is Flexbox begin tag, Flexbox end tag, and within that we have placed collection of labels and screen elements. Flexbox begin tag, Flexbox end tag, within that there are labels and screen elements. But on Flexbox you can have some options here. First let me test it. So now you can see this is a Flexbox. By default it is using something like direction as row. By default it is using direction as row, so that's the reason why they're displayed in a continuous format here. But what we can do is on Flexbox we can use direction. Direction is one of the property. So you can see by default if you don't mention direction then it is taken as row by default. But I want to use column here. If you want you can try other options. Let me use column. Save it and you can run this. Now you can see they're displayed here. Flexbox with direction as column. So they're displayed one below the other. Not only direction as column, if you want you can use one more property. For example, align items. You can use one property like align items. Align items, if you want you can use center, end, start, whatever. Let me use for example center. So direction is column, that means they're displayed one below the other. And the align items is center, it will be displaying this entire container as part of center location in your screen. So you can see now they're displaying this Flexbox container with align items as center. So that's the reason why we are able to get it like this. Okay, let me try with align items as, for example, end. Align items as end. Let me check what happens. So you can see they're displaying the screen elements right side of the screen. Align items is end, so it is displaying all the screen elements one below the other, but the entire container is displaying the screen elements right side of the screen. So you can change this align items end. You can use start. Start is one of the option for align items property. So you can see now it's displayed left side of your screen if align items is start. Let me use center here for align items. Save it and you can run. Now you can see if I go to layouts, it is displaying that flex box with screen elements with align items as center. So this output here. So in this case, this is a container. It's a Flexbox container. It's a Flexbox container. And here we have used align items property. That plays an important role. So you can use start, end, center, whatever. In this case, we have used center. And not only that, we have used direction as column. You can use row or you can use direction as column. So this is like Flexbox output. You can change those properties. You can try different outputs. Implement below code. Very simple. We have created all labels and screen elements individually, and we placed all these labels screen elements inside a Flexbox container. Flexbox begin tag, Flexbox end tag. Within that block, we have placed labels and screen elements. And on Flexbox, we can use two important properties like direction and align items. Align item supports start, end, and center. Direction supports row as well as column. Okay, let me write these things. If required, in the above code, we can use align items as start, end, center. These are the three possible, mainly these are the three possible values for align items property. Similarly, we can use direction as mainly column, but by default it is row. If you don't mention, it is taken as row. It supports row as well as column here. Okay, if you want, you can try other options like Hbox. I think that's newly introduced. Hbox is one of the container. Bbox is another container. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. In the next session, we'll discuss layout editor. That's a different story. Today we have discussed layouts, but in the next session, we are going to use layout editor. Layout editor is to auto-generate the code. When we use layout editor, we are going to auto-generate the code for generating screen elements. Till now, we are writing the code manually, line by line. But if you want, you can avoid that and you can auto-generate the code, especially for screen elements creation. For that, we are going to use layout editor in the next session. Okay, if any doubts now, you can ask me.
Yeah, I have a doubt.
Yeah, Manoj, what's the doubt?
Yeah, actually, while doing insert, update, and delete operation using OData, actually I don't have backend server access so that I can take check the table whether data is updated or not successfully.
Why don't you check it here at this point of time? If you want, you can check it here also. You can go back to the table and you can check whether that record is available here.
Yeah, there I can check. But actually, are you giving backend server also access also?
Backend server connection I'll provide when we start OData. Don't worry. But as of now, if the record is inserted from third
it
screen,
will come here.
Yes, from third screen, if you insert any record, then that record should appear here because we have also used refresh on a model, right?
Yeah.
So if it is reflected in this table screen element, that means that record is inserted. So okay, we used this dot get owner component. I'll give the backend access. Don't worry. When we start OData, then I'll provide the complete access. So this dot get owner component dot, we have used get model. Get model, what it will get? Get model will get the main service OData model. Main service is an OData service. OData service is connected with OData model. So get model will get that main service OData model. Main service OData model, on that we have used refresh method as true. So whatever records that are transacted, those records will be reflected on your table screen element when you come back because of refresh method. So the point here is, without connecting to backend also, you can check whether record is inserted or not as part of a message, or you can come back and you can check it in this table, or you can check it in the list, or you can check it in microchart. So that is possible. So, but when we start OData topics, OData development topics, at that stage, I'll provide that connection.
Okay.
Yeah, next doubt. Or else today itself, I'll send that server, backend server related, how to connect to backend server. What you can do is you can go to this properties, add these properties here. 122.175.13.217, 07 EH7, add these things in your logon pad.
But actually, we also need this SAP GUI also, right?
That entire details I'll be sending it in one separate email, but these are the details you need to add. 122.175.13.217, instance number 07, system ID EH7. And I think I've already provided that username and password. The same username password, you can use it here for connecting to backend through logon pad. From web ID, we were consuming OData services. While consuming OData services, it is asking you to provide username and password. The same user ID password, you can use it here for connecting through logon pad.
Which one you given almost 1 month before, near about 1 month before, that user and password you have to give?
No, I've provided different user IDs for different users, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever is received in your email, try to log in with that. So whichever.
Okay.
username and password you received through email. Provide those things. While connecting to backend via, it can be SAP logon pad or even from SAP Web ID while accessing the service. While accessing OData service from Web ID, we are providing user ID password. That is already sent to you earlier. The same user ID password, you can use it for connecting through logon pad also. But how to install that GUI logon pad? For that, I'll be sending one simple procedure through email. Another email, I'll be sending it today so that you can try. Yeah, next down.
Okay, for the layout, can we assign default, by dynamic screen size? For example, if user uses laptop, the screen size is different. If user use monitor, the screen size is different.
No, that you can adjust. That means you can provide some width and height properties. Width and height properties, you can make it dynamic. But it is not really required. Why? Because here you can see SAP.m library, SAP.m, SAP.UI.layout. These are all responsive libraries. These are responsive libraries. Responsive libraries means it works for all the types of devices. Responsive library means it works for all devices. That means all types of screen resolutions. So the screen elements are automatically adjusted. That's the reason why we are calling it as responsive libraries. The screen elements order is automatically adjusted according to the screen size and according to the device. It works on all devices and all types of screens. So you need not make any separate adjustment here.
Yeah, thank you.
But if you want to control width and height dynamically, that is also possible through coding. In controller, you can provide height and width. For example, let me give one simple assignment. Based on that, you can try another option. So here you can see this one. Let me check whether that is available or not. Okay, you can see, for example, here there is a list screen element as well as there is a slider. Just to make you understand, on slider, I'm using width. So if I change the slider here, so you can see the width of the screen elements are changing. Similarly, you can apply for a container also. You're getting my point?
Yeah.
So if you want to control manually, dynamically through coding, then you can create a slider with some width, and based on the slider selection, the width can increase or decrease on the screen element.
Oh,
On slider, I think we are using, on slider, I think I've used some live change event or maybe change event. Similarly, the same thing you can apply for your layout. On layout also, you can have one slider, and on slider, you can use width related or height related values. Based on the selection, you can increase or decrease dynamically. Same like this. I did it on list, but the same thing you can do it on any container or any layout. Okay, so
Hello?
one second, let me write it as assignment so that you will get some idea. When you try this, you'll get some idea. All the assignment related solutions I'll be providing in one separate project file. I'll send one final project file which contains the solutions for all the assignments which are provided, but keep on trying. When you keep on trying, you'll get some different ideas. That will be helpful. Whether you succeed or not, that's secondary thing. But when you keep on trying, you'll get some different ideas. You'll get idea on different methods and approach. So what you do is create one slider here with values ranging from, for example, 0 to 900. And based on slider value selection, the list, or it can be table, or it can be microchart, or whatever. So in this case, for example, based on the slider value selection, the list screen element, it must increase or decrease dynamically. Based on slider value selection, the list screen element width must increase or decrease dynamically based on that selection. By this, then the same thing you can apply on container also. You can apply on simple form. Not only list, you can apply on simple form, table, microchart, or whatever, or any layout as well. But what you do is on slider, use values ranging from something like 0 to 900, something like that, or 0 to 1000 pixel. And on slider, I think we have used, okay, so if I go to slider screen element, let me check what is the appropriate event. So there is change event. You can use change event, but change event is not suitable. I think you can use live change event. On live change event, you have to assign event handler. For validations, we are going to use live change anyhow. But in this assignment, also try to use live change event. That is more suitable. It's more dynamic. As soon as you drag, the values gets changed. The behavior of the other screen elements also can be changed dynamically. Try to use live change event, assign event handler. In event handler, in controller, you can write the code. Okay, so let me add one hint. On slider screen element, use live change event and assign event handler to it. That's the reason why this is more dynamic here. It's live change. As soon as you change the slider value, it is dynamically reflecting on the list screen element here. Okay, so next doubt.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, what's the doubt?
No, doubt means I didn't got the connection. You given the one connection, user and password. When we are going to connect the OData, means Orion 5, Orion. Okay. So that user and password you are going to use for the login, SAP login, yeah, Web ID, correct?
No. This, when you try to log in here, so when you click on login, this is different one. This is a different one. When you log in to Orion, we are trying to log into Orion. That means we are connecting to Web ID here. For connecting to Web ID, I think you have already created your own account, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that account, you can use it here. This is not the backend server account. This is just Web ID account.
Okay.
This is Web ID account. After connecting to Web ID, now when you consume OData service, so when you create an application here, when you create an application, when you select a template, so here we are selecting EH7, then it connects to backend. So this is a backend server user ID password you have to provide.
This is the user password you have to give there.
Yes, the same user ID password, whatever you got it, that user ID password you provide even for logon pad while connecting to backend.
Okay. In GUI also.
Yes, in GUI itself I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay, so here it has connected to backend through Web ID. We are connecting to backend, so backend connection is successful. We are getting OData services. Similarly, here also, when you are connecting through logon pad, the same details you can provide. User, in my case, I've used user Y1. It is connecting with the same details here. Or else I'll send one email. Just wait for 1 or 2 hours, then you'll get one email with that entire details. You can try those details, okay? But the point here is, when you select EH7, the main point here is when you connect with EH7, the same user ID password is applicable even when you connect through logon pad to the backend. That is the main point. Okay. Orient file connection, that means web ID connection is different, but EH7 connection, whatever we use, that connection is same and the user details are same even through logon pad.
This server you are going to give, sir, this the GUI details.
Yes, I'll be providing it. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
You'll get one email after 2 hours, then you can easily connect.
No problem.
You can
No,
avoid that
thank you,
confusion.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other doubt? Server side, don't worry. I'll be sending the server details. Any other technical doubt? In last session or today's session,